Mark Bellum, SuperTraining Gym, the strongest gym in the West. And on this day, we had some guys from Cal Strength come in. And I don't know what they were doing, but they were like, when we lift the weight, we like pick it up off the ground and then we stop like around our waist or lower. And then for some reason, these guys were trying to impress us. I wasn't impressed, but they kept trying to put the weight like up over their head. That just seems dangerous and seems to compromise the shoulder. I would never try something like that. It's great having these guys in the gym on this day. They were throwing around some big weights on some cleans and some snatches. Their coach, Dave Spitz, the legendary godfather of weightlifting, came in and had these guys throw down. These guys were also going heavy on their squats, and it was really cool to watch their form and their technique, as it's quite a bit different than what you're seeing typical powerlifters do. Plus, these guys were really young. I think might have been one or two guys in the bunch that were over like the age of 25. There's a couple guys that were like 17 to 18 years old. Unbelievable strength from the guys at Cal Strength. Strength is never a weakness, and enjoy the rest of the video where I go over some box squats. Because it's a different exercise. We're going to have everybody start off squatting high, and we'll work you down a little bit lower. What we're mainly looking for is just that the form is really crisp and that we're doing a good job staying upright. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get a little bit wider than wherever your normal stance is. Go about 2 inches on each side, wider than you normally would. And we can kind of go from there. With a box squat, we want to try to push the hips back, and we want to try to open up simultaneously, very similar to the way we would do that with a regular squat. Typically, I like for people to point their toes as straight ahead as they can handle. Every person's a little different. Not everyone can always have their feet pointed straight. Sometimes there's too much discomfort. As our boy Kelly Starrett says, if it feels iffy, then it's iffy. So if it feels kind of sketchy and doesn't feel great, then go ahead and just point the toes out a little bit. The reason why the toes are pointed straight ahead is 9 million years ago, when people started powerlifting, they started handling heavier weights. They realized that when they went wider and the straighter they pointed their feet, that they ended up with a mechanical advantage, and it almost created an internal suit, because with your feet out really wide and your feet pointed straight ahead, or even almost inward, when you go down, you get stopped pretty quickly. There's a lot of tension that happens. As Starrett would say, he calls it torsion. I don't even know if that's a word, but he's a doctor, so I take his word for it. So that's what we're trying to mimic here. Feet are going to be straight ahead. We're going to be tapping into the hips a little bit more. Again, remember, it's just a different exercise. It's a different way to squat. So we're here like this. We're going to push back and open up at the same time. And as we push back, we're going to relax a little bit on the box, and then we're going to push back up. People make this a lot more complicated move than it really needs to be by talking about what you do with your feet and how you're supposed to claw down your pinky toe and do all this weird stuff. Wouldn't worry about some of that too much. What we're mainly worried about is that we're keeping a good upright posture. We're concerned that we're not doing this. We're not doing like a good morning. We want to be in here more. We're dropping back. We're forcing the knees out aggressively. A lot of times people will be in here. It's not a good way to do it. We want to force the knees out aggressively because, again, we're trying to tap into the hips. So we're here like this. Boom. And when you go to come up, you're trying to come up explosively. You're trying to power into it. On the way down, we're actually trying to gather some strength through our hamstrings. It's almost like you're trying to pull yourself down. When I hit some of my best bench presses, when I was on the way down and lift, is where I started to feel the strongest. And the lower I got, the stronger I got. And even at a certain point, I got that way in the squat. I never quite figure out the fucking deadlift, but in the bench and in the squat, when I got lower, I felt stronger. And it's because I was usually pulling myself, I was trying to pull myself into position. So again, from here, a faster version of it will kind of look like you're dropping down, but I'm like literally trying to pull myself down with my hamstring and getting to the top. This guy we're going to go backwards with. Okay? Try to go backwards as fast as you can.
That's butt cheeks.
It ends up being like a walk, jog, whatever.
Okay.
You're gonna sprint with this, and then you're gonna get on one of these. You're gonna get overhead and try to walk down and back with it. It's gonna be brutal. If you can't, and you need the front racket or whatever, you just can't put it on the ground. It's the only thing. So you can hold it. You can do whatever you can to stabilize it.
Hold on, kid. I got the ball. Game on. Where's my media?